Greetings viewers and welcome to Camp Life. My name is Owen Reardon and in today's video we're going to be doing a what's in my camping bag video. So this is the type of bag that I bring with me if I was going on a couple of days camping in a tent with my friends. So I'm going to be talking you through all the items that I actually have in here one by one. So let's not waste any more time on the intro here and jump straight on over into the actual video. Alright guys, so we're going to start off by looking at this front compartment of the bag. And this is where I like to keep all my small little bits and bobs. So the first things that we're going to take out here are the lighters. I use these obviously for starting campfires and bonfires or whatever. So those are always useful to have. Next up we have my Swiss Army knife. Now this is a multi-function tool. I don't really use anything other than the blade on this knife, or maybe the screwdriver occasionally, but other than that not much, but it's always useful to have a knife. Next up we have some flint and steels. Now I use these occasionally if the lighters or matches get wet and I can't light it with them, but this is a much harder way to light a fire, but it is useful if you have nothing else to go on. Next up we have a power bank, and when I'm off the grid for a couple of days at a time, this is super handy because I can charge my phone and both my torches off it, because my torches are rechargeable. So this is a very useful thing to have. And here we have my compass. I don't use this too often, maybe if I'm using a physical map, but usually I just use Google Maps. Here are my binoculars. When you're out camping you often go on trips up mountains and nice scenery, so it's always nice to have those so you can look at faraway objects. Next up we have my GoPro. Often when we're out camping we find some cliffs or waterfall or pier to dive off, so it's just fun to capture those moments because the camera is waterproof, or it's just useful to have if you're just, out walking and you want to take a quick photo or video. Next up we have this really handy lamp. Now this has 3 modes. It can either go red, bright, or even brighter, so you can hang this on the top of a tent and obviously it acts as a light. And the best thing about it is that it can recharge, so I can charge it off the battery pack if it runs dead, and the charging it is very long. I've never had any problems with it running out while I'm on a camping trip. Next up on the side here we have duct tape. Now duct tape has infinite uses, so I would recommend just buying a roll and throw it in your bag. You never know when it'll come in handy, maybe patching a tent, makeshift fixing a piece of broken gear. There are infinite uses for this that you just can't see coming, so I would highly recommend throwing one of them in. Here in the bottom of the bag I have an inflatable fold out blow up mattress. Now this is really useful because if I'm ever out camping in fields, often stones you can be lying on top of them, so this just cushions you and makes it much more comfortable and easier to get to sleep. On the side, of course, I have a water bottle. If I'm ever going hiking, it's useful to have that on the side. Now here I have the GorillaPod. Now this is just a mini, really light tripod that I can just throw in my bag. It's super light, so I don't have to worry about weight or anything. Now I use this to use the camera that I'm actually using to film this video right now, so that's why that's not here. But whenever I'm going camping or anything, I always bring my camera because there's some great opportunities to take some really nice photos. Next up we have my torch. Now my uncle recommended this to me. It's not really a known brand. I think it's called Lighthouse, but this is literally my favorite torch that I've ever used. Simply because not only is it rechargeable, but you can actually use this as a power bank. So if my phone runs out of battery and my power bank is dead, I can actually plug my phone into it. Like if I know I'm not going to be out and about anymore for any nights, I can just use the last bit of battery in the torch to charge my phone. Extremely useful. Next up we have my eating utensils. It's in a really nice little pouch here and they just fold up nice and compact, so they're nice to have. It's pretty straightforward. We also have a plate, a bowl and a cup. These are pretty obvious. The plate isn't too necessary, but it's nice to have if you're cooking for more than one person. You just cook all the food, plop it on there, and people can take food off it as they wish. This is where I like to keep maps if I'm ever going hiking or mountaineering. It's really nice to have a map because often phone reception doesn't exist there, so you do have to go back to basics and use a map, which is no problem because I actually enjoy using maps. Here I have a waterproof case for my phone. Pretty self-explanatory. If I'm going swimming and I need to bring a phone with me in case of emergency, I just throw it in this. Next up, and probably one of the most important pieces of gear I have here in this bottom compartment, is my sleeping bag. Now it's not that warm a sleeping bag. It's not terrible, but it's not too warm, which isn't a problem because all my camps are usually in decent weather and in Ireland where it doesn't get too unbelievably cold, so that's not a problem. But it's lightweight and it fits in the bottom perfectly, so it suits me fine. In the very front pouch here, so when I have this bag on my patch, this would be by my side, I have my wallet and a spare knife in here, just because a knife is a useful thing to have easy access to, and of course a wallet is if you're paying for something you don't want to be rooting in your bag for it, so I just keep those at the side there. Now for the main section of the bag, I'd usually keep other stuff in here like clothes and food and stuff, but those are pretty obvious so I didn't include them. But here I have a frying pan that I use for actually frying up food, be it on a fire or anything like that. Next up I have a little pillow. If I sometimes forget to use a pillow, I just shove some clothes in a hoodie or something and use that instead, but it's always nice to have a little pillow. And finally I have my gas stove cooker. This is really handy to be able to throw on and cook a meal for up to maybe 4 or 5 people even. And with that said, that pretty much wraps up the entire what's in my bag video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment and subscribe. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.
And there's a fire that I won't slay. There's a fire burn the fire brigade. So tonight we are losing.